18-year-old Leo Lyons was killed in a drug deal gone wrong in Worcester, Massachusetts. Leo didn't pay the right amount for the marijuana, and then the drug dealer laced the marijuana with fentanyl, and Leo didn't know, took the drugs, and then was walking down a flight of stairs, hit his head, and fingerprints were left on the bag that the marijuana was in. And there was a note on the bag that was found at the crime scene. And fingerprints led from the bag. There's fingerprints on the bag that led to the conviction. It was May 17, 2025, a cloudy Saturday morning on the hilltop in the grand city of Worcester. Not much activity is happening on the campus of Worcester Academy. Leo Lyons lived in a dorm room on campus, Dexter Hall 320, where he spent most of his time. He was 18 years old, finishing out his junior year. Leo was known for partaking in the use of marijuana and some of his friends on campus. Around WA, a dealer well known to the students. Leo has been getting his marijuana from this dealer for a while now, and he had to set up a time to meet at WA on this cloudy afternoon. However, Leo has been a couple dollars short past 3 times on the payment, but the dealer has been letting it slide. At approximately 12:30, the deal was made. The body was later found after school at approximately 3:15 when all the students get out for class. Once the deal was made, Leo walked away and immediately started smoking the joint. The body of Leo Lyons was later found at approximately 3:15 on the stairs leading to Kingsley Laboratories on the campus of Worcester Academy. Police rushed to the scene to find the body of 18-year-old Leo Lyons laying there on the stairs. Forensic scientists later showed up, taking pictures of the crime scene, making sure to not contaminate or cross-contaminate any of the evidence that is laid out there for them. First, they find a plastic bag next to the body. They use the plastic bag to find fingerprints on it when they later dust it off. There was a note as well attached to the bag that the dealer left that stated, "Have a fun time." The police and forensics analysis used handwriting to figure out who did it. There was also blood spatter from the impact of the head hitting the concrete wall. So the police used blood spatter analysis to figure out if he was pushed or if he fell. They also used PMI once they showed up, and they found that it was approximately 2 to 3 hours after death. Forensic scientists also used toxicology within their analysis. They found in the system of Leo Lyons there was marijuana, so that means he was under the influence of marijuana. They also found that there was a deathly amount of fentanyl in the system of Leo Lyons, which led to killing him. On the fingerprint side of things, there was one fingerprint left on the note at the crime scene. Investigators had no initial leads, so analysis of the fingerprint could point them in a direction of a suspect. Fingerprints are raised portions on the skin of the fingers that leave marks when pressed against things. All fingerprints are unique. There are many different characteristics of fingerprints. 3 main types are the loop, whorl, and the arch. There are also subsections of each type and minutiae patterns that help further differentiate people's fingerprints. The dealer left a latent fingerprint on the bag, meaning that it was not visible to the naked eye, but it was picked up, and when dusted by the crime scene investigators, the powder brushed over the fingerprint and adheres to the oil and residue that were left by the fingerprint. Once the print appears, investigator lifts it up with clear tape. Police grouped a few suspects and took their fingerprints to find out who gave Leo the laced marijuana. A fingerprint examiner compares the fingerprints of the suspects with those left at the crime scene. They can exclude some suspects based off their type of fingerprint if they are immediately different. The fingerprint on the bag was an ulnar loop, and it had distinguished double bifurcations throughout. All of the suspects except one had either whorls or loops, so they were excluded as not belonging to the fingerprint found on the bag. The last suspect's fingerprints matched the ones that were lifted perfectly, so he was put under further investigation for the crime. There was a note left on the bag that the marijuana was sealed in. The note said, "Have a fun time." And that's how we used handwriting analysis to narrow it down to potential suspects. The handwriting was blocky, and when suspects wrote down a sentence, you could tell which one wrote it down on the note. Next, we used blood spatter. Blood was found on the side of the stairs, dripping down the wall. The blood stain was below his head and dripping down the wall, going away from him. Blood spatter analysis can help investigators piece together what happened at a crime scene, as they can determine a possible weapon, force, or the direction the blood traveled in. The pattern of the blood is influenced by the velocity and angle of the blood. The direction that the blood was facing indicated that the blood came from his head. The size of the blood droplets did not indicate a high-impact scenario like being shot. The investigators assumed that the blood was coming just from the wound on his head, considering that it was dripping blood. Since it was a medium impact, it was assumed that Leo fell down the stairs on his own because the dealer's fingerprints were not found on Leo. Next, we used PMI. A body was found at approximately 3:15 p.m. The PMI came out to be 2.6 hours. This indicates the victim had been dead for approximately 2.6 hours. The body was lying there stiff, beginning in the smaller muscles such as those of the face. There was no other stiffnesses found in the body, indicating rigor mortis had just begun. Due to the air being colder as it was a cloudy day, rigor mortis could have been slowed down as the air temperature cooled the body down. This is why there was only stiffness found in small muscles in the face, nowhere else on the body, causing the PMI to be 2.6 hours, indicating the time of death was around 12:45 to 1 p.m. In the last part of the analysis, we used toxicology. We found marijuana in the system laced with fentanyl. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid that is extremely strong, approximately 100 times stronger than morphine and 50 times stronger than heroin. Marijuana is a Schedule I drug, and fentanyl is a Schedule II drug. Fentanyl has a very high potential for abuse, therefore, mixed with marijuana, which also has a high potential for abuse, can be very hazardous. After the body was taken to the forensics examiner, they found marijuana laced with fentanyl in Leo's system. They found over 10 milligrams of fentanyl in his system. The lethal dosage of fentanyl is 2 milligrams for the average adult. If more than 2 milligrams is taken, the body begins to go in respiratory depression, slowly or stopping breathing. The recipient of the drug will begin to feel drowsy, disoriented, and sedated, and experience pinpoint pupils and clammy skin. As seen as the victim, after ingesting the marijuana laced with fentanyl, he became drowsy and his breathing slowed, causing him to fall down the stairs and hit his head. Forensic scientists came to the conclusion that the murderer was Guy Coots. He laced the marijuana with fentanyl because Leo mispaid him a couple times. He was later sentenced to life in jail for murder.